Hello, everyone. This is Tracy Siska from the Chicago Justice Project. So today we're going to talk about, is the Chicago media bad on reporting on the CPD? Well, most of the time, sadly, yes. Today we have a prime example that implicates all the major media outlets in Chicago and their coverage or lack of coverage on a very important issue. So on Monday, July 12th, Kim Foxx and the Cook County State's Attorney Office released an official list they call the do not call list. And it's a list of officers that the state's attorney will refuse to call to be a witness in a case. Why? They say because of current and past conduct investigations, but that's misconduct investigations, allegations of misconduct, and officers have been stripped of police powers. Basically mean they're riding a desk during waiting on an internal investigation that may lead to their termination. The list officially released by the state's attorney contains 174 current and former police officers, 120 of which are from the Chicago Police Department. The other approximately 54 are either from the Cook County Sheriff's Office or various suburban police departments. I think there's actually a couple of feds too. No idea why many of these officers are listed. There's just no details. The list hit the media several years ago when Foxx told the media that, or commented about the existence of the list. WGN Television in Chicago reported on it back in March because they got a copy through a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit. They got a previous copy that had somewhere around 60 or 66 names. The current list is up almost 3 times that. So what was the coverage this time, or lack of coverage? Let's take a look. First of all, let's look at who didn't cover this. NBC 5 Chicago, ABC 7 Chicago, Fox 32 Chicago, the Chicago Sun-Times, and WBEZ Radio. A lot of good that partnership between the Sun-Times and BEZ and turning it into a nonprofit is doing. They partnered up to not cover an important issue whatsoever. Let's see who did cover it and how thorough that coverage was. Seems like an important thing, right? An official list from prosecutor of officers they won't call the stand because of various credibility issues. CBS 2 Chicago, the written report on their website was 195 words. They did, however, have a 26-second segment on one of their newscasts about the list. 26 seconds. Mind-boggling. WGN Channel 9 covered it with a 248-word post to their website. And as far as I could find, no stories for their newscasts. The Chicago Tribune covered it, 417 words. WTTW Chicago covered it for 460 words. The Chicago Tribune's covered by Sam Charles was by far the best of the worst, right? First of all, almost no one covered it. And the few that did, their coverage was awful. Of the awful, the Tribune's was the best of the awful. WTTW, even though it was 460 words, was pretty shallow and basically filled with backgrounds and cops that are on the list that we already knew, or just had more quotes from the release. Across all of this coverage, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Not a single new quote. No sit down with the prosecutors, no talk with Kim Foxx, no comment from the acting superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, no comments from the police department at all, right? Totally abysmal, totally unacceptable. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's on the context of the Chicago police officers and the alt-right politicians in Chicago. They know to their soul, they just know it to be right, very Trumpian of them, how the media just hates the police and they got to report on anything negative. So much so that most of the media in Chicago completely ignored this issue. This story, very, very important. The media's job, inform the public. Instead, what did they do? They whiffed. What should they have done? Well, they should have drilled the CPD for a response on each and in every single officer on the list. That's what they should have done. We need a status of every single officer. Can they, if they're retired or if they've left the department, can they be rehired? Do they have any information if they're officers in other departments, other suburbs, other jurisdictions in Illinois or anywhere else throughout the country? They should have drilled the state's attorney. Are any of these officers involved in recent cases? What exactly did they do that got them on this list? Specifically, give us those reasons. Without that, we can't judge the credibility of this list. I'm for this list being public. I think it's a great step forward, but we need the added transparency. Why did you put them on this list? We need that because then it allows us to judge the credibility of the list you made. They should be drilling the Fraternal Order of Police, the police union, and their alt-right leadership. Of the officers on this list, which do you agree with? Which do you disagree with? And why? Right? No. And please, the police department and the FOP, how can these people on this list, if any of them are still cops or cops in other jurisdictions, how can they be officers if they can't testify? If they can't testify in court, how can they possibly be an officer? So I guess if you're harmed or someone else you love is harmed, you have to pray that one of the officers on this list that's still on the department, we don't know how many that is because, hey, the media didn't do their job. But if they are, you have to pray that they're not the ones that witness it or they're not the ones that respond because they can't testify. Assignment desks at all these outlets. Are the FOIAs violent? Are the FOIAs flying? No, really, I'm asking you, are they flying? Let us know. I somehow doubt it. I'm not saying there's not a single reporter in town that hasn't filed the FOIAs that we're filing, but I doubt many are. They didn't press Kim Foxx. They didn't press the current leadership of the police department. How about Mayor Brandon Johnson? What does he think? What does he think about whether or not, does he know, are any officers on the job? And what does he think about them being on the job? And what's he going to do about it? What is his new superintendent going to do about it? So like I said, we're going to be filing FOIAs. In fact, we have filed FOIAs, and you can get the links to the FOIAs in the description. The question you have to ask yourself, why must a nonprofit with no money do the jobs these journalism institutions are failing to do? Why does it fall upon us to file these FOIAs? Right? Like, it's unbelievably to me that those outlets, Channel 5, Channel 7, didn't cover this at all. At all. It's mind-blowing. The Sun-Times, BEZ, where the hell are you? You'll cover a splashy shooting, or if you can get a body bag journalism, you guys are all over it, especially the television stations. But a monumental, officially released list of 120 Chicago police officers, not to mention the suburban ones, right? 174 total officers. And you have no interest in covering it? Such an epic failure. Will the media get the details behind this or behind each officer? I doubt it. I really do. But they should be demanding it. They should be FOIAing it. Instead, it's going to fall to us once again. So we have filed FOIAs, and we will let you know as soon as we hear back. We think it's going to be a while. The police department's going to hate having to turn over records on 120 individual officers. That is for sure. But we're going to go after it. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Really appreciate it. Please hit like and smash that subscribe button. Help us grow the channel. We really appreciate it. And also, check out our Chicago Justice podcast. And if you want to get involved in our work, cjpnation.org. I'll be back with you soon.